How to read minds through body language. In our daily lives, in communication with various people, from close friends and family members to colleagues at work and strangers on the street, we constantly try to understand what others are truly thinking and feeling. We want to know their true intentions, their hidden emotions, their unspoken desires. Often, words diverge from true intentions, creating a sense of dissonance. A friend says, "I'm fine," but their eyes are full of sadness and their shoulders are slumped, betraying their true state. A colleague agrees with your idea in a meeting, smiles broadly, and nods, but their body movements betray hidden irritation. They fiddle with a pen or rub their neck. We intuitively feel that something is wrong, that there's an underlying message, but we can't always pinpoint what it is. This could be a subtle discrepancy in facial expressions that lasts for a fraction of a second, or a barely noticeable change in posture that leaves us confused. We feel uncomfortable, not understanding what's truly happening, as if we're trying to read a book with missing pages. Such misunderstanding can lead to communication errors, wrong decisions, a feeling of frustration, and even undermine trust. Remember how many times you found yourself in a situation where, for example, during a job interview in New York, the potential employer smiled and said pleasant things, but their gaze seemed cold and distant, making you doubt the sincerity of their words. Or at a family dinner in Texas, a relative assures you that nothing serious happened, but their hands are clenched into fists under the table, and their voice is tense, and you feel that some unpleasant truth is hidden. These moments, when nonverbal signals contradict verbal ones, cause us discomfort and make us search for answers. What if there is a way to read these unspoken signals, to understand people's true emotions and thoughts, even when they try to hide them behind words or habitual facial expressions? What if we could access the hidden language of the human body and face that reveals the truth? This sounds almost like mystical mind reading, but in reality, it is a deeply scientific approach based on studying how our brain and body react to internal processes. We will talk about how, by using scientific approaches such as the study of microexpressions and the principles of neurolinguistic programming, NLP, you can develop an incredible sensitivity to nonverbal signals. This is not about mystical mind reading or trying to control people or invade their personal space without permission. On the contrary, it's about becoming a more perceptive observer, learning to understand human behavior on a much deeper level. This knowledge is a powerful tool for more effective communication, for self-protection from insincere people, and, most importantly, for building more genuine, deep, and trusting relationships based on clarity, not hidden motives. Microexpressions are true windows to the soul. They are subtle, fleeting flashes of emotion on the face that last only a fraction of a second, from 1/25 to 1/5 of a second. Unlike conscious smiles, frowns, or other controlled expressions, microexpressions are involuntary. They arise reflexively and reflect a person's true feelings, whether it's anger, fear, surprise, disgust, happiness, sadness, or contempt. Our brain doesn't have time to consciously process and suppress them before they appear on the face. For example, you see a politician in Washington confidently talking about their economic successes, but for a moment, they display a micro-expression of anxiety or fear when an inconvenient topic like recent scandals or financial difficulties is mentioned. This could be a clue to their true concerns and inner vulnerability. You might miss it if you don't know what to look for, but if you are trained, this signal will be obvious to you. The principles of neurolinguistic programming, NLP, though controversial in the scientific community, offer their approaches to observing nonverbal cues. One of the key concepts in NLP is congruence and incongruence, the match or mismatch between what a person says and what their body shows. If words and body language contradict each other, e.g., a person says, "Yes, I completely agree," but their arms are crossed over their chest, the body often tells the truth. This is a principle actively used in NLP. You might notice how in a business meeting in New York, a colleague smiles and says no problem, but at the same time fiddles with their shirt collar, rubs their neck, or averts their gaze, betraying inner anxiety, stress, or even deception. Another aspect mentioned in NLP is subtle eye signals. While controversial, NLP suggests that the direction of gaze can indicate thought processes, e.g., recalling visual images, constructing a lie. This is not direct mind reading, but observing patterns that can provide additional information about how a person is processing information. In addition, there are general body language patterns that always say a lot. An open posture, uncrossed arms/legs, Relaxed shoulders usually signals openness and confidence, while a closed posture indicates defensiveness, disagreement, or nervousness. There are illustrators, gestures accompanying speech and complementing it, e.g., pointing, adapters, self-touching gestures, such as touching the face, scratching the nose, fiddling with hair, which often signal discomfort or an attempt to self-soothe, and regulators, gestures that manage the flow of conversation. For example, a person who suddenly starts scratching their nose or rubbing their ear during an important conversation might be experiencing internal discomfort or trying to hide something. Use of space, proxemics. How a person uses personal space can indicate their comfort, status, and intentions. Being too close or too far, invading personal space, all of this conveys information. Vocal nuances, pace, tone, volume, presence of pauses, filler words, all these are nonverbal signals that either complement or contradict what is being said. Nervousness can manifest in a high tone and fast pace, while confidence can be shown through a lower tone and measured speech. It's important to remember that none of these signals individually are 100% proof of anything. A single gesture or glance can be accidental. However, clusters of these signals, when several nonverbal manifestations appear simultaneously and contradict the verbal message, especially in combination with an understanding of a person's baseline behavior, how they usually act, their normal, can provide an incredible amount of information. It's like assembling a puzzle. One piece tells you little, but several pieces together paint a complete picture. In the next part, we will delve deeper into how to interpret these clusters of signals and how this knowledge can be used for a deeper understanding of people and for building effective communication. In the first part, we realize that words often don't reflect true thoughts and feelings, and that there's a hidden language of the body that can reveal the truth. We touched upon the idea of using scientific approaches like microexpressions and NLP principles to become more perceptive observers. Now we will delve into the most fundamental keys to understanding these nonverbal signals that allow us to read others. It's important to remember that this isn't about magical mind reading or trying to control people. It's about skillfully and ethically using our understanding of how a person's body betrays their true reactions to improve communication and self-protection. Firstly, microexpressions, these elusive, fleeting flashes of emotion on the face that last fractions of a second, typically from January 25th to 1/5 of a second. They are so quick that our conscious brain doesn't have time to process and suppress them. Unlike conscious smiles, frowns, feigned joy, or demonstrative anger, microexpressions are involuntary. They arise reflexively and are a direct reflection of a person's true feelings. Whether it's anger, fear, surprise, disgust, happiness, sadness, or contempt, they are a kind of emotional leakage that cannot be consciously controlled. There are 7 universal emotions that manifest through microexpressions in the same way across all cultures. Anger, fear, surprise, disgust, happiness, sadness, and contempt. Each has its unique set of facial muscles that are activated. For example, in anger, eyebrows lower and draw together, eyes narrow, and lips may be tightly pressed. In fear, eyebrows raise and draw together, eyes widen, and lips are slightly pulled back. Imagine a situation: you are at a business dinner in Washington and the politician you are talking to confidently speaks about their successes and election prospects. They smile, their words are full of optimism. But when the conversation shifts to their recent financial scandals or a vote on a controversial bill, you momentarily notice their eyebrows slightly raise and the corners of their mouth slightly drop, creating a barely noticeable expression of anxiety or sadness. This fleeting flash you caught is a microexpression. It betrays their true concerns despite their bravado. Understanding these signals gives you a huge advantage. You see where the person's pain point is, what truly worries them, and this can be a key to their true motives or vulnerabilities. Secondly, congruence and incongruence, the match or mismatch between what a person says and what their body shows. This is one of the key principles actively used in NLP, although it has broad scientific basis. If words and body language contradict each other, the body very often tells the truth, as nonverbal signals are harder to fake consciously. For example, at a business meeting in New York, a colleague with a wide smile says, "Yes, I completely agree with your idea. No problem, I'll do it by the end of the day." But at the same time, their arms are crossed over their chest, they slightly turn away from you, rub the back of their neck, or fidget with their shirt collar. Their words express agreement, but their body movements signal internal resistance, anxiety, disagreement, or unwillingness to commit. The body says, "No, I don't want to do this," or "I feel stressed about this." Another example, you ask a friend from Los Angeles, "How are you?" They reply, "Everything's great," but their shoulders are slumped, their voice sounds monotonous, and they avoid eye contact. Here, words and body are in a state of incongruence. If you learn to notice these discrepancies, you will be much better at understanding when people are telling you the truth and when they are trying to hide something or are pretending. Thirdly, subtle eye signals. While this aspect of NLP is the most controversial and requires a very cautious approach within this concept, it is suggested that the direction of gaze can indicate certain thought processes. It is important to understand that this is not direct mind reading or a lie detector, but observing patterns that may provide additional information. For most right-handers, for left-handers, the patterns may be reversed. Looking up and to the right may indicate constructing a visual image. The person is imagining something, creating a new picture in their head. This is often associated with lying, as the person is creating something that didn't happen. Looking up and to the left may indicate recalling a visual image. The person is remembering something from the past, trying to reproduce what they saw. Looking right at eye level may indicate constructing a sound. The person is thinking of what to say or creating a sound. Looking left at eye level may indicate recalling a sound. The person is remembering something they heard. Looking down and to the right may indicate accessing kinesthetic sensations, feelings, sensations, smells, tastes. Looking down and to the left may indicate internal dialogue. The person is talking to themselves, pondering. If you ask a question about the past, for example, "What did you do last night?" and the person looks up and to the right, this may be a signal that they are not recalling but rather fabricating their answer. However, it is extremely important to remember that these patterns are not universal and can vary greatly from person to person. Stress, fatigue, individual thinking styles, all can influence gaze direction. Therefore, relying solely on this signal is dangerous. It should only be considered in conjunction with other, more reliable indicators and only as a hypothesis requiring further verification. Fourthly, general body language patterns. Besides microexpressions and eye signals, there are many other, more noticeable but no less important nonverbal manifestations. Posture: an open posture, uncrossed arms and legs, torso facing the interlocutor, shoulders relaxed, usually signals openness, confidence, and interest. A closed posture, crossed arms, hunched shoulders, turned away torso, signals defensiveness, disagreement, nervousness, or disinterest. Gestures: illustrators, gestures that accompany speech and help to illustrate it, e.g., pointing, drawing in the air. Their absence when a person is speaking actively can signal restraint. Adapters: self-touching, involuntary gestures involving self-touching, scratching the nose, fiddling with hair, rubbing the neck, touching the face or clothes. Often indicate internal discomfort, anxiety, nervousness, or an attempt to self-soothe. For example, a person who suddenly starts scratching their nose or rubbing their ear during an important conversation might be experiencing internal discomfort or trying to hide something. Regulators: gestures that manage the flow of conversation, e.g., nodding to show you are listening, or raising a hand to take the floor. Use of space: proxemics ***, how a person uses personal space can reveal their comfort, status, intentions, and culture. Too close or too far a distance, invading personal space, or conversely, excessive withdrawal, all convey information about relationships and feelings. For example, if someone suddenly pulls away from you during a conversation, it could be a signal of discomfort or disagreement. Vocal nuances: paralanguage ***. Besides words, we convey information through speech pace, fast, slow, tone, high, low, volume, loud, quiet, presence of pauses, too frequent, too long, absence thereof. And also through the presence of filler words, like. Nervousness often manifests in a high tone and fast pace, while confidence is shown through a lower tone and measured speech. The absence of pauses can indicate an attempt to talk quickly to avoid questions. Important to remember, none of these signals alone are 100% proof of anything. A single gesture or glance can be an accident, a habit, or a result of temporary discomfort, e.g., an itchy nose. However, clusters of these signals, when several nonverbal manifestations appear simultaneously and, critically, contradict the verbal message, especially in combination with an understanding of a person's baseline behavior, how they usually act, their normal, can provide an incredible amount of information. It's like assembling a puzzle. One piece tells you little, but several pieces together, along with an understanding of how the person behaves in normal conditions, paint a much more complete and reliable picture of their true state and intentions. You are not guessing, you are analyzing patterns. In the next, concluding part, we will delve into how to interpret these clusters of signals and how this knowledge can be used for a deeper understanding of people and for building effective communication in real life. We have come a long way in our exploration of how to read minds through body language. In the first part, we realized that words often don't reflect true feelings. In the second part, we delved into the fundamental keys to understanding nonverbal signals, microexpressions, congruence/incongruence, subtle eye signals, and general body language patterns. Now it's time to bring all this knowledge together and understand how this skill can transform your communication and relationships. In conclusion, we emphasize that mind reading through body language is not a magical ability, but the development of a keen observational skill that requires practice and mindfulness. It allows you not only to recognize people's true emotions and intentions, but also to significantly enhance your social competence. This knowledge is your shield and compass. It helps you better understand others, be more empathetic, protect yourself from potential deception, and build more authentic, deep relationships based on clarity and trust, rather than hidden motives. The goal is not to become a human lie detector for every situation, constantly looking for deceit. On the contrary, it's about becoming more aware of the unspoken messages people constantly send. This will help you see the world more fully, perceiving not just words, but the depth of human experiences. Consider how you can integrate the practice of observing body language and microexpressions into your daily life. At work, during meetings, pay attention to the nonverbal cues of colleagues and superiors. Their fleeting reactions or discrepancies between words and gestures can provide valuable information about what they truly think about a project or proposal. This will help you better navigate corporate politics and make more informed decisions. In family settings, if a loved one says, "I'm fine," but their body signals anxiety or sadness, you can show empathy and ask, "I sense something is bothering you. Do you want to talk?" This strengthens trust and shows your care. When interacting with friends, by noticing incongruence in a friend's behavior, you can understand their true feelings and offer support without waiting for them to tell you about the problem themselves. When watching news or interviews, analyze the nonverbal signals of politicians or public figures. This will allow you to see beyond their words to their true emotions and intentions, helping you critically evaluate information. Implementing these skills will not only allow you to understand more than what is said, but also to become more aware of your own nonverbal expressions. You will start controlling your own signals, avoiding unwanted leaks of emotions, which will significantly improve your communication and boost your self-confidence. You will become more discerning, less susceptible to deception, and capable of building truly deep and sincere relationships.